Hello, and thank you for joining me for a dose of virtual vitamin Z. Today we're going to learn a little bit about an animal you may have seen on our Facebook page a couple weeks ago, trumpeter swans. So let's first find a little bit about trumpeter swans. So the Detroit Zoo is here, and trumpeter swans live here. You'll notice that's most of North America. Now a trumpeter swan is a big white bird with black beaks and black feet. Its young have gray feathers, and their feathers will turn completely white once they get a little older. They eat mostly roots and plants and some bugs. And to get some of those plants, sometimes what they do is they tip their bodies up, and their long necks and beaks are under the water, and their tails and their feet are up in the air, and they use their strong beak to pull the plants out from under the water, and they eat that. Young will also eat small fish and eggs as well, like fish eggs. At the Detroit Zoo, there are two swans that call the zoo home. Ron is the one closest that we can see in the picture, and Leslie. So this is Ron up nice and close. You can see he's got that big white body and beautiful black beak. And his feathers are nice and sleek and tucked against his body. This is Leslie. Leslie came to us in this year. She was born in 2019. And you'll notice that she is a little bit gray. It's because she's a little younger still. And you'll also notice that her feathers don't sit as tightly against her body as Ron's do. And that's because she has a condition called angel wing. And that's where the last joint in her wing turns out. And it makes it impossible for her to be able to fly. She was rescued from a pond in Lakeville last year. Angel wing is caused when waterfowl such as swans, ducks, and Canada goose eat improper food such as bread when they're young. Birds grow quickly when they're young, and bread doesn't have the proper nutrients that is needed for a young bird to grow. So it's really important that when they're young, that they eat the proper food so that problems like angel wings don't occur. But you might say, well, how does the Detroit Zoo provide food for birds like Leslie? And we have access to a specially formulated food that ensures animals in our care are receiving proper balanced nutrition. So I reached out to experts at the Audubon because I figured, how can people like you and is there a way that we could feed wild swans? And they say no. They say that if we want to continue to see wild trumpeter swans in our area, what we need to do is we need to reach out to the owners of the water line and ask them to plant more native plants to attract bugs. Because that's what the swans should be eating along with the plants. If you share what you've learned with your friends and families and communities, you could work with your local leaders to have information posted at the waterline about why we should refrain from feeding wildlife like birds. It's important to remember that wild waterfowl like swans are expert at finding their own food, and if we can feed them, we can cause them harm. Today we're going to do an activity about making observations, and we're going to try to make some swan observations. So the supplies you're going to need are tangram pieces, printed and cut out, and a tangram shape printed out as well. So if you're not familiar with tangrams, this is a tangram. It's a square that's cut into 7 pieces, and this is a template that you can actually use those 7 pieces to make a swan. So let's take a closer look at a tangram. So a tangram is made of 7 pieces, and those are 2 big triangles, 1 medium triangle, 2 smaller triangles, a square, and a parallelogram. So you can take those 7 pieces and make another image with them. So I have a big swan here for you to see. And you can take these 7 pieces from the tangram and you can try to put them in here to make a swan. Oh, it didn't work. I wonder if this would be better. Maybe. I recommend that when you're using tangrams that you try to start with the biggest pieces first. That might give you a hint. The cool thing about tangrams is once you have these pieces, you can actually make other shapes too. So can you make a swan in a different shape? That'd be really neat if you could. And you can also look for other animals too that you want to make with the tangram pieces. Thanks so much for joining me for a dose of virtual vitamin Z. Join us today at 4 o'clock with my colleague Zara, who will be sharing some more information about another animal that lives at the zoo. Thanks so much. Have a great day.